can't even see my thumb. Just
You're
so pale.
so white. You're so white.
Pale.
There's a normal hand. There's a really white hand. Oh my God. Jeez. It looks like you're just topless right now with that shirt on. All right. Okay, so here's what's going on. Yesterday, Sam and I were having a conversation about a workout that we were going to do and why she would do one weight versus the other. So we're kind of going to recreate a little bit of that conversation just because we think a lot of people may have those same questions or thoughts about what weight they should do on a workout and whatnot like that. So we'll talk a little bit about it. This will be a little bit longer video too, probably kind of maybe in the 15-minute range or something like that. But anyways, bear with us. Here we go. So what were we talking about?
So basically, the Fittest Games qualifier is happening, and so you came in and told me about the workout, and obviously I do the workout with the coaches, and that's what we're doing this week. I was not registered for it at that time, and you told me 50 thrusters at 35 pounds, and I said, heck no way I could do that in a lifetime.
So, okay, so let's backtrack just a little bit. The workout was a 12-minute AMRAP of 10 calories on the rower, 25 sit-ups, and then 50 single-arm dumbbell thrusters, switching arms however you wanted to. The guy's weight was 50-pound dumbbell, and the women's RX weight was 35-pound dumbbell. So I was telling Sam this, and basically she was like, well, first of all, there's no way I would ever do a 35-pounder or whatever.
That's exactly how I sound.
And I was like, well, why not? Is that what you said? I said, why not? And what did you say? I asked you why you weren't going to do that.
Basically, because I didn't think that I would get a high intensity workout by having to cycle through dumbbell thrusters at 35 pounds for 50 reps, and it being an AMRAP of how many rounds I'm supposed to be getting.
Right. So you just looked at the weight, and did you decide that because you'd never done that weight for that many reps before, or are you capable of that weight, or what happened here?
For the open this past year, I did not do the RX weight for snatches, and so that's kind of what I was basing my decision off of.
So basing it on a completely separate movement.
Correct.
Okay, so you think that's fair? Okay, so no. So really, and we're just going to cut to it, really you were just scared of the idea of a 35-pound dumbbell versus a 20 just because you'd never done it.
Correct.
Right? So here's the thing. Like I told Sam, I was like, you can do thrusters at 35 pounds, but she was more focused on getting the more intense workout from a higher rep volume standpoint, right? So, and then what did we talk about after that? We kind of just talked about...
Well, then it kind of spiraled into the fact of like, okay, if I do move slower, I feel like I'm not keeping up with all
No, I asked you, what is that mindset about? Do you have that? Do a lot of people have that? And you said, yes, a lot of people do have that.
I would think that with how focused our gym is with form and moving properly and avoiding injury and stuff like that, people tend to shy away from a weight that they probably have the strength to do, the proper form to do, and the time cap is enough for them to be able to do it.
So you think it's fair to say that people are so much more focused on form that sometimes they leave some intensity from weight on the table that they're probably capable of doing?
I think that some people at this gym, myself included, would be.
So, and by no means are we saying like disregard form. That's not the idea at all. But sometimes you may not go as fast with heavier weight, but your form still is clean and your technique is good, that sometimes the intensity that you'll lose from extra reps, you'll make up and maybe surpass with intensity from extra weight involved, okay? So, but she was also said earlier on, she said, I didn't know how many, based on the rounds I was supposed to get.
Right.
But you'd never done the workout before.
Never done the
We
workout.
had seen no scores.
No.
You just thought, I won't get as much as I'm supposed to, which really supposed to is not even a thing here because there's no standards that you created for yourself.
Correct. Which is why learning how to break down the time of a workout and figure out kind of your own personal goals or like how you're going to break up reps, which you do very well, is something that I feel like I need to get better at, to where I know that here's what I'm working for, here's when I'm going to put it down, here's where I should be at midway through the workout, and that's not something that I focus on a lot.
Where does the feeling come from that you think that you have to do a certain number of reps, or I just have to go rather than slow down, lift a little heavier, stay clean with my technique and my biomechanics, but I still have to move fast? Where does that idea come from?
I guess just to feel a high intensity workout and then to be able to keep up with people alongside of me is a good feeling. But in the same instance, I'm not keeping up with them at the same weight that they're doing.
Right. So and then I asked you yesterday, I said you'd rather keep up with them on reps rather than weight.
Right.
And what did I tell you? I said I said respect, but that's not really the right word. I think someone has a tougher time doing heavier weight. I think it's a harder mental workout doing heavier weight. Know that I'm moving slower than somebody beside me, but if you're capable of the weight, then do that, right? Because there's no standard on how many rounds or reps you're supposed to get, but there is somewhat of a standard created around the weight that is maybe RX or level 3 or level 2 or level 1. So you would always rather do that if you're capable of it, right? Because you'll never be able to find what you're capable of without trying it. If you always resort to this, I think some people's results end up becoming stagnant or plateauing because they end up not pushing the next limit. Sometimes it's not about more reps where the results are. It's about sometimes more weight. But again, all this more weight talk only exists if the technique is proper and legit.
So is that how you kind of judge whether or not you should, I mean, obviously you do RX weight pretty much.
Not all the time.
But
a lot of barbell workouts I go down from what is recommended from the program that we follow, because that's where my weaknesses are, is on the barbell strength, overall strength.
So when do you decide to maybe not go the RX weight, but at least jump 5-10 pounds to that?
So it also becomes what the rep scheme is versus what I know I'm capable of for what the demand of the workout involves. Does that make sense?
Kind of, a little bit.
So if it's a 5-4-3-2-1 rep scheme and their 5-4-3-2-1s are heavier than I can manage for 5-4-3-2-1, but it's still supposed to push me to a threshold that's out of my comfort zone, then I know that has to be heavy, and I know what I'm capable of on, say, squat cleans for a set of 5 that will push me into an uncomfortable area. And then I know, so I'll use the weight that they have, what I would do, and then maybe sometimes meet kind of in the middle, and I'll do that for a lot of different workouts. Right? And it's usually mainly ollie lifts for me. Powerlifting movements I can usually hold my own. Squats, deadlifts, pressing, stuff like that.
So like this whole time we've kind of been talking about weight and stuff like that, and something I struggle with, as most of you know, is gymnastics. So like this coming up workout, we have pistols. So if someone is looking to progress into that, but they know that they can't get that rep count at RX, what's your recommendation?
Well, it's different with a qualifier, because what you're capable of and what's required, they don't really care about. This is the workout that you have to do. If you can't do it, sorry, sit there and do what you can. You can keep trying for 20 minutes and failing, or you can keep trying for 20 minutes and maybe get a couple of extra reps. But like in a class, then you would always lower the rep count to where you can manage some comfortable reps every round. So if it's 20 alternating leg pistols per round in a class WOD, and I'm comfortable with 6, then I do 6. If I'm comfortable with 10, I do 10. If level 3 says RX and level 2 says 10 pistols around, and level 1 says reverse lunges or box pistol or something like that, but I'm still comfortable with 6 pistols, then maybe I still do my 6 pistols on the ground, right? There's too many levels that exist for a class WOD for me to write them all down there. But sometimes there's some gray area between level 3, level 2, level 1 that actually exists based on just what I write out.
Okay.
Does that answer your question at all? In a competition, all bets are off. You have to do what they say, otherwise you can't play the game. That's kind of competition versus a class, right? That's sport versus fitness is what that is, right?
So whether or not it's a gymnastic movement or weightlifting movement, how does confidence play a role in knowing kind of your place to jump to the next level or try the next level?
Huge. It's a huge role because you have to be, you'll never know unless you try, right? And there's times to try and there's times not to try, right? But if you've never tried, then you have nothing to compare to. If you tried and failed, then you have more experience, you have more knowledge around what you're doing to say, okay, I'm capable of this, but it crushed me. That's not really where you want to be. I'm capable of this, it's hard, and it only gets harder, but I'm still in the game, I'm still in the fight, okay? But yeah, at some point, if you want to learn to swim, you got to jump in the water, so you have to try it, but your coach also can see a lot more than you can see, because there's no mirrors around, but also how you feel when moving. The coach can see something and say, man, that's good, but if you don't feel confident around it, then you're not ready to go yet, right? Sometimes people need a push in the right direction, and sometimes people will hold themselves back just because of their lack of confidence. And I think sometimes that exists a lot more than we think.
So when do you plan out, like, I'm big on planning. I like to go into things with a plan. So when do you feel that a workout needs a plan? Like, I've seen you jump into workouts before, and unless it was in your head, you're just like, okay, let's do this. And then I've seen you literally break down each single part of it, time and rep scheme and braking and stuff like that. Like, how does that look in your mind?
So basically the question is, when do I plan out the pieces of a workout, my rest, my reps, that versus when I just get into a workout and go. So I've done enough WODs over the last 9 years to kind of know what I'm capable of on certain movements and how many reps I can do in a row versus what's after that and the demand of that movement or whatever. Say if it's a 3-part workout and you have to look at all 3 movements and say, okay, if I do 30 unbroken wall balls, how is that going to affect my next movement? Okay, versus if I do 15 and 15 or 10, 10, 10, that's going to feel very different for the next movement than doing 30 in a row. So depending on what that is, if you kind of have to look at all pieces of it. But to answer your question, mainly when I plan out every little piece of a workout, including rest time and set number of reps, whatever, is if I'm trying to go faster, if I'm trying to PR that workout, and I've done it enough times to know that this is where I start to fail, or this is where I start to fatigue, or this is where my shoulders start to burn out. Okay, cool. Workouts that I've never done before, I'll tend to plan out a little bit less because it's more of the unknown, even though you're doing some of the same movements and some of the same rep schemes and stuff like that. If I've never done that exact workout for that time domain before, then I'll tend to plan it out a little bit less.
So is that why you think that it's important in Wodify? It's not just whenever you log your results, it's not just like 85 pounds.
Exactly.
It's a complete breakdown of the entire
So
workout.
when you put down, I'm big on note taking, so in the workout. So I'll put as much about that workout as I can in the notes. I started to gas out here. I'll try to put my rep breakdown. Like, I didn't put it in for the WOD yesterday, but so let's go back to that WOD yesterday. The 10-calorie row, 25 sit-ups, and 50 dumbbell thrusters, as many rounds as possible in 12 minutes. We could probably redo that today or tomorrow, 1 or 2 days in between it. Not had enough time for us to actually get any fitter, but we could probably do better just because we can plan how we would do it differently and strategize, because now we know how it feels. Right? So, and that's what I tell people a lot of times, like, around the open or any kind of online competition, people always want to redo workouts and just beat themselves up again and again. And yeah, you'll probably do better, but you'll probably do in the 5 to 10 rep range better. You're probably not going to do 30 or 40 reps better or 2 minutes faster or something like that, right? But you'll definitely do better, but it's not because of fitness in 1 or 2 days, it's because the plan and the strategy. So I think it's a very big part of of how you do workouts. I have some mental plan about every single workout I do. There's no movements that have come up that I think there's no movements out there that I haven't done enough to know what my capacity is on those movements.
So yesterday, kind of like you did a warm-up kind of round to that workout, and you look at a 12-minute time cap, and it's almost like you can just go through it and go hard and go big or go home. And kind of doing that warm-up, you told Emilio, you were like, wow, like this is not going to be something that you can just go hard or go home. Like you actually kind of have to cycle through it. And
so, yeah.
So like what's the time cap breakdown, or does it just depend on all the different factors of movements, rep scheme?
What do you mean time cap breakdown?
Whether or not you know, like, okay, I just need to go. Like out of the gate, I need to go, because that's something I have problems with.
Okay, so how do I know? So this is that workout. Thrusters is one of my least favorite movements there is. Okay, so that was the bulk of that workout yesterday. So I know for me, I can't just go because it'll just gas me. One, I don't like it. Two, I'm not that great at thrusters. Right, single arm dumbbell makes it a little bit better. I'm real strong on my right side. I'm a little wobbly and unstable on my left. So I know that I can't just crush, right? The row and the sit-ups, that's my thing. That's where I can go hard, but that's only about 90 seconds of every round. The other 3 minutes or so 2 to 3 minutes, whatever it was. The bulk of the workout is 50 dumbbell thrusters per round. So I know that I can't just go. I set the dumbbell down probably 5 times in that first set of 50, and then Emilio did it, and he didn't set it down at all. We were really close in time, but he didn't set the dumbbell down, and I did. So it just kind of, it's knowing what movements are in your wheelhouse and what movements gas you more than others is kind of how I decide that. And also the time domain, for sure. If it's a 20-minute workout, nobody should come out of the gates and just crush, because 20 minutes is a very long time for your body to start using and switching energy systems, versus like a 3 to 4 minute workout. You may only use one energy system, which is like your glucose or your anaerobic energy system, right? So something longer than that, like that 12 minutes yesterday, if you come out of the gates just so fast, you're going to redline, and there's going to be some recovery time in there for your body to switch energy systems so you can catch your breath and then start going all over again. So I don't know if that answers the question or not.
What type of, or not what type, how long would you say mobility-wise how long would you do mobility after that type of workout?
That type of workout for me, which is quad dominant, it's lower body dominant. My shoulders were a little bit gassed, but more my legs than anything. I probably did, right after the workout, probably 10 minutes of static stretching, and then another 30 last night. But the workout was 12 minutes, so for that one workout, probably 40 minutes of mobility just because of that workout, right? 12-minute workout yielded 40 minutes of mobility because of how hard you go and how demanding the movement is on your system.
Okay. So what ended up happening is, 1, I did the weight. 2, I got...
Yeah, backtrack here a second. Now that we talked about it and then you did it, so let's talk about that. That's good.
No, I did the weight, so 35-pound, 50 thrusters. I got into the second round, I was at 22 thrusters. And then time cap ran out.
So 12 minutes, you did one full round with a 35. You did the next row, the next set of sit-ups on the second round, and then you got 22 thrusters into the second round when the 12-minute cap went out.
Yep.
Did you? Okay.
So definitely sore quad-wise, but the fear of, oh man, if I just do a 30-pound, I'm going to be arching my back and my lower back's just going to be so tight the next day and stuff like that. I've worked with a previous shoulder injury and stuff like that, so I was worried about, is my shoulder just going to be gassed the next day? None of those two.
No problems.
None of those things.
So moving forward, when you see a workout come out with a 35-pound dumbbell again, then now what? Confidence is there, right?
I guess so.
And there's fewer workouts that come out with single arm dumbbell thrusters, okay? But just the number 35 in your head now is not, because a thruster is a harder movement to do, right? It's not easy. You have to control it. Your core has to be in control. Your squat has to be on point. Your shoulder stability has to be there. Your wrist stability. So that movement should make you a lot more, or that workout yesterday should make you a lot more confident about seeing 35-pound dumbbells in the future. So do you think you should have done the 25 or the 20 like you originally wanted to do? Or
no, I think the 35 was a good weight. If I because I did sign up for the intermediate scale after that workout, so I need to redo that workout at that weight, which is 20. And I think hopefully I'm just gonna blast through it. But that was the other thing. Like whenever I went to sign up, I looked at the workouts and I got this feeling of oh well, why even sign up? Like pistols, maybe I'll get one, maybe I'll get two if it's a really good day and I'm recovered from this one. So it was kind of like this thing of why even sign up? And then it's why am I looking at it like that? Like, you love the open's super fun, you have people that are doing it with you, and it's an experience, so just why not do that?
Sometimes a lot of people look at competitions as competing against others and measured against others, and that's by definition that's what it is. But that doesn't mean that it also can't be a competition against yourself, and for you to kind of just test yourself against stuff that you may not normally do. Like if you say, okay, cool, I'm going to sign up for the Open or the Fittest Games qualifier or whatever. Those workouts, they have, if you sign up for pro or amateur or masters or scale division or whatever, that's the workout that you have to do, okay? And sometimes that's good to be humbled and take a step back, because I may not have got as many rounds as I wanted to, but I did a weight that I didn't think I was capable of doing. So sometimes that transfer of intensity from more reps to less reps, but also from less weight to more weight, I think goes a long ways in progression of not only fitness but sport. But again, this all goes back to biomechanics. If I think a lot of times in CrossFit competitions, people just will go to any and all lengths to do the required range of motion, and it looks like crap, and people get hurt, and that's why CrossFit gets a bad rep, is because we got a lot of people that are never used to doing certain weights, and they sign up for a competition, and then let's do it, right? But the difference of what they're used to doing and what the required weight is astronomical. For you, going from a 25 or 30 pound dumbbell to a 35 is not that much different. And you'd only done it because you hadn't tried it when you probably should have tried it a few months back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the time to try new weights is not necessarily in a competitive setting, but I think a lot of the times that's more reserved for skills and weightlifting, and then sometimes in WODs, but sometimes you don't have a choice, in a competition.
Right.
And failing is not always the bad thing, because you can learn a lot from yourself about failed reps and missed reps, right?
So with the Open coming up, we have normally a bunch of people that do that. What would be your advice, kind of to wrap this whole thing up, for people that are looking to do the Open, that are kind of in that setting, but whenever it comes up, they just fear, they don't want to show up, they're just oh nope, can't even do that, why did I do this type of thing? Would you say pick one movement, and from now until February work on that movement and try and get better at that one?
No, because I think that's specializing. I think you naturally progress as the movements come up, but I do think that every so often it's not a bad idea to try to hone in on one thing. But if you try to pick one movement and only work on that for the next 3 months or so, then other stuff is going to suffer, right? So at this point, we're talking generalization versus specialization, right? We want to be generalist in the fact that we're really good at a lot of things, and not specialist in the fact that I'm only good at one or two things, right? So yeah, some things may take a little bit more focus and a little bit more attention, but that doesn't mean that you completely abandon all the other stuff too. So, and I know that's probably what you were saying, but I don't know that if I really want to get good at power snatching, I completely stop back squatting altogether. if that makes sense, right? Or if I'm really going to get good at gymnastics, then I completely stop weight training. Because at the end of the day, strength is kind of what supersedes this whole idea, right? You got to be able, when we're talking competing, you've got to be able to lift the weight to play the game, right? So if you can't lift the weight, that's okay, but that's strictly for competing. Most people that will see this are really strictly involved in fitness. But even then, they should still think about and talk to their coach about, when should I try heavier, right? And leave that up to the expert, leave that up to the coach, leave that up to them, as far as them saying, hey, cool, let's try to push a little bit more, or we may not be moving super smoothly today, so today's not the day to go for a lot of extra weight. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it's a two-sided conversation between the coach and the athlete, because when the athlete's confident enough, then the coach is more confident. When the coach is confident and the athlete is not super confident, but they're moving well that day, that may be the day that that athlete needs just a little bit of push in the right direction, because they're moving right. The coach thinks they can do it. The person may be just a little bit scared to fail more than anything.
Yeah.
But failing over and over and over again can only teach you more about what to do right. But you got to be able to recognize that. Like, okay, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this. I'm getting closer. I'm not quite there yet, but you learn a lot from failing. You learn a lot more from failing reps than getting reps. For me, anyways.
Yeah.
So, anyways, hope that helps. Let us know if you have questions.